Hi sailors, it's time for a new podcast, and this time I'm sitting in Sandspol, just south of Oslo, at an anchorage. And Ben, where are you?
Hello, I'm up in the French Alps, 2,000 meters of altitude, in my photo workshop in the mountains.
So you're quite far away from your boat.
I'm super far away from my boat, but I'm exactly in the same kind of landscape I sail in Greenland. So I'm in 2,000 meters high in the Alps. It means the same plants, the same barren landscape I have in the boat. So I'm far but close. I'm in the same kind of decor.
Yeah. Before we get into the Greenland side of things, you have to tell us a little bit about how you got into sailing.
Oh, my first boat was I was maybe 8 years old. It was a Beneteau 50, but it was a remote control, tiny sailing boat. So I got into sailing in Colorado when I was maybe 8 years old, with a remote control boat. And my passion just grew bigger and bigger through the years. I can keep on because then with friends, when I was maybe 15 years old, we already were building our sailing dream. And I did studied photography, worked a few years as a press photographer. But how old was I? When I was 22 or 23, I definitely left at sea on a small sailing boat with a friend actually. So I started living on boats at age 23, and on a great small half-tonner that didn't have an engine at all. So I sailed on that 30 feet boat for maybe 7 or 8 years, down to Patagonia, down all the way to the China Sea, actually, with that little half-tonner that had no engine. So that's how I started sailing.
Nice. And then you, at some point, came across a boat. Was it called Knut when you bought it? I'm guessing not.
No, actually, I didn't. Well, I found that boat. We found that
Yep.
boat with my wife. So I
Yep.
was sailing with my wife and my first son, my first child. We were in Asia somewhere, and we were planning to do the Northwest Passage with that half tonner with no engine, and we were on our way to Alaska. And then our first kid came along, and we just noticed. Well, we realized our Northwest Passage dream, sailing with no engine, with that tiny boat, with kids, was not going to be a possibility. So that's when we started looking for a bigger boat, and I found it on internet. Took maybe a year to find. We were looking for a bigger boat for the family, but also a boat we could use to take other artists, take people on board, because that was we wanted to share our sailing life experience, etc. And I found it on internet. It was in Italy, this boat. So I flew from Borneo, I think, to Italy, to Rome, to check out this old sort of one-off racing boat that was lying in Rome. And that's how it started, the story with that boat. So we actually almost moved directly from Borneo, our small boat, to Rome on this new boat, which was not called Knut. It was the Criolla. And before that, it was called the Golden Lion. It was designed by Alex Carrozzo, which is like a famous Italian sailor, solo sailor from back in back in time. So yeah, the boat was a really interesting, a weird aluminum, really strong but pretty fast one-off. Yeah, that's how we found that boat.
Yeah. And you you obviously like the fast sorry, regatta sailing boats, sort of, don't you? Going from a half tonner to this
Yeah,
boat.
it's exactly the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Our boat is like a big a half ton. It's because before we sailed for years with no engine at all. Having a racing boat was like super important, not just for fun, not just, oh, I like racing. It's more when you have no engine, you're just racing all the time. To get in harbor, to in the Malacca Strait, like to go against currents, you need a racing boat if you're not motoring. So we kept the same spirit, and that's why I like, yeah, boats that sail.
Yeah.
Now it's a 40-year-old boat. It's quite heavy. It's not a racing boat. It's just a good sailing boat.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name Knut?
You're Norwegian, right? Because
I'm
we were planning
Norwegian.
on going to Svalbard. Yeah. And in Norway, I have this problem that often if I'm in a harbor in Norway, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, I have someone knocking on the boat saying, "Hey, my name is Knut." And it's always like really tough guys. So the name is, we had this boat sort of looks like a Viking boat. It's, the Drakkar has a bit that shape, and
Yeah.
we're heading north, and the boat it's not a she, it's a he, and we were heading north, so we said, "Oh, Knut," and yeah, nothing else.
Really cool. And you pretty much rebuilt the whole boat down below, at least, didn't you?
Yeah, not only down below. Sorry, we sailed it to the Canary Islands with my wife and my son. He was a year old back then, just to test it out, to see, to like feel it out. And yeah, we emptied it. We did like a 9 months big job on that boat. So we also built the cabins in the back because it had a huge open cockpit. So we really had to modify the structure too. So basically, we just kept the hull in the mast and rebuilt a boat, a polar expedition boat. We did it ourselves. Yeah, that's like 10 years ago. And then from Canary Islands, we went directly to Svalbard for our first season. That was in 2015. Yep.
Right.
But at first, the boat still had the engine. So it had for the first years, we had an old Fiat diesel engine inside. So we were running with that thing, and we ran the boat for a few years with that diesel engine until it died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a saying about Italian engineering, isn't it?
I don't know, but
it's not.
but
It's not very positive.
no, but Fiat is a Fiat. I have a Fiat Panda. That's my car. I love it.
Yeah.
Fiat, yeah, Italian stuff, and the whole boat is everything that can be Italian is Italian on that boat because it was an Italian sailor who designed it. It was like super Italian, and we're keeping that spirit. But the engine was maybe 30 years old, and it was leaking, and I had oil everywhere. It was dead.
Yeah, it was time to go. And when did you think about going electric? Because let me give it to the listeners some background. Because I went to the Banff Mountain Festival in Gothenburg actually last week. I was there with the witness. And just because there was a sailing movie, of course, there's a lot of good movies on the Banff Mountain Festivals with the hardy individuals doing extreme things in the wilderness. But a sailing film always does it for me. So, and the thing was that it's called Going Greenland, and it's about you, the Knut, and some Americans doing skiing. And the catch line for the sell of the film is that it's an electric boat going to Greenland. And how did you end up going green or electric?
Yeah, going green, that's my dream. So going electric does not mean going green. We have to be really careful with that greenwashing thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was already on my previous boat. It was even better. That was green. So it was non-motorized. So I've always had that, let's say that will to not burn fuel. That's like something really old. And with the Knut, so we were taking skiers, we're working a lot with artists. So that means we're sailing like charter boats sail. That means motoring like hell because you have a schedule, because you want to see that. And so, as I said, we did a few years doing that, burning tons of fuel and documenting the Arctic, like saying, hey, look at the Arctic is melting, blah, blah, blah. But we're burning tons of fuel. It wasn't working at all. We were not feeling comfortable doing that. So yeah, of course it was, and in my mind, it's always been in my mind. Then I met this one or two crazy engineers in Switzerland that were in that world, and it wasn't as common as it is now. That was, I started thinking about it maybe in 2017. It wasn't as common, so I was talking to people, trying to see. We didn't know. We still don't really know if it's possible in the Arctic with the sun we have in the Arctic to sail electric. Because I mean electric, that means no generator, right? So I was talking to people, realized it was possible, and then it took me another few years to find the finances because it's super expensive. So slowly, it's a project, and then I found some sponsors. We did a big crowdfunding campaign, and I don't know, when is it, in 2020 maybe, we managed to, we sailed down from, where was I, Greenland, sailed down to Spain again, throughout the old dead engine, and that's when we started we put in an electric engine. I found old 10-year-old lithium batteries that were sitting in a container somewhere that we got for free. So that was really good because that was recycling old lithium batteries. So it was pretty green. And then, my budget was really small, like, as usual. So we had like these pretty cheap solar panels that didn't last long. And same for the batteries. They lasted 2 seasons, I think, those old batteries. And they were just like, well, you saw the film. So in the film, that was the last season. No, the before last season, with those electric batteries. And they were just dying, the one after the other. So we were electric, but plus I was like just unplugging the batteries that were dying. It was super sketchy.
Okay.
And then a few years ago, no, when was that? 2 years ago, I found a new sponsor that, you have to go slowly in that kind of project. With we're in a small nonprofit. We don't have like big budgets. So then I found a new sponsor a few new sponsors, and we got new batteries 2 years ago, and new solar panels. Solbian, really good, like on the racing boats, Italian solar panels. So we managed to get a perfect system, I'd say, last season. And then the boat, a few weeks ago, we had a big storm and the boat went in the rocks and filled up with water. So now we have to restart the whole thing and start again.
Do it all again. Yeah.
We'll get back. Yeah, it's a crazy story.
We'll get back to that. But how the biggest thing about going electric, as far as I can see, or think at least, is you have to have a change of mindset. The sailors, you obviously have that beforehand because you've been sailing without an engine and thinking a lot about it and doing this. Is that how you see it? Is that, yep.
Exactly, you got it. The problem is people, sailors, passengers, want to go electric. I think it's for everything, for cars, for the whole. We want to go electric. We want to go green, but we are not ready to change our habits. We want to keep the same potential. We want to keep the same lifestyle, but just use the technology to go green, and that is totally undoable. Well, it sucks. It's not even interesting. Exactly. So yes, we have to change the technology, but before that, it's the mindset. It's the whole way of thinking. You know, especially in the Arctic and really harsh places, you need a lot more humility. So we have to like learn how to sail with the same humility explorers back 200 years back were using. They were sailing that way. So we have to just go dig out something we have in our sailing culture, but that we have lost. Because now it's just technology, big engines, big fuel tanks, deadlines, plane tickets. We've just fucked it all up. So that's the big change. And it's, of course, I grew up with that, sailing on a boat with no engine. But it's really interesting to bring that mindset to people. And that's our main goal with our nonprofit, I guess.
Yeah, because it's pretty much time and patience, isn't it? You have to realize and that you're there on nature's conditions or the wind's conditions. You can't. You're gonna end up where the wind decides. You're gonna end up, not
exactly
where you're thinking where you're hoping you're going to be. So you have to have more time and be more flexible.
Yes, and you have to adjust your objectives. So you cannot, you have to adjust your objectives depending on the patience you have, the time you have, and the skill set you have, because you have to be a good sailor. You have to be a racer.
Yeah.
So you know, you have to be able to tack in very narrow fjords with ice, jibe your spinnaker without messing up. So you have to adjust your objectives to all the things you have, and not adjust what's around you to yourself. You know, you're not in the center of the thing anymore.
Yeah. How do you manage? Because this is managing expectations. At least when you're doing like you do, having new people on board, even if they're not paying or they're artists or whatever. How do you? Because your mindset is obviously already set, but the people that are coming on board are probably not. Don't have another set of expectations, don't they?
Yeah. Except with artists, it's really easy because artists are just so chill. They have no expectations. They need light. They need just life. You know, that's good. With athletes, it's super tough. With professional athletes that usually use, you know, helis that have film crews and they, you know, they're like, yes, when you talk to them, they're like, yes, they're super green. They're super, you know, they're like, yes, they're up for it. They're like, yes, of course. That's great. Cool. Blah, blah, blah. Global warming. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about the glaciers melting, blah, blah, blah. And once they get there, they're like, fuck, I want to ski that line there.
Yeah.
And it's super tough because even though they're mountaineers, so they work with nature. I guess if I'd have amateur skiers, it'd work fine because they just, you know, just the fact of being on a boat in Greenland, you're like, okay, if I can only ski this little thing, this hill. Anyway, I don't know how to ski, so it's fine. But when you have professionals, I've been working with the same professionals for years now. They don't want to ski a hill, you know, because they're fighting to find the finances to come too. They're like fighting to make this happen. So yeah, they have high expectations. And well, if you saw the film with Jess, she has like a character too. It's not easy. It's pretty tough. Of course, they have no choice. They have no choice. But then it's more human wise. How are you gonna get these people to like slow down and chill? And it's not easy. But that
No.
means we sail, so you fight a lot more to get to the places. I mean, you don't just say, oh, the wind's against us, we're going to sit here and wait. You're like a racer. You're going to say, okay, let's go, let's reef, and let's tack, and let's go. So you work hard to eventually get to those places. It's more work.
Yeah. Do they appreciate it?
A lot of work. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they do appreciate it, but they do go crazy because they're not sailor. If you're a sailor, you're even if you're used to sailing with an engine, and you know what it is to sail at one knot and a half, and you're like pulling on your lines, you're having fun. But for a non-sailor, he's like, what the fuck is going on here? So with the years, I think I'm building techniques, social techniques, human techniques to like help people understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's viable for doing what you do on a commercial basis, just electric? Because there's a lot of charter boats, sailing boats in the Greenland and Svalbard doing this full time.
Yeah, I think it's
it is.
I think it more than viable. It would be a great project. So of course, it would be viable. It'd even be a marketing technique. I mean, it'd be but you'd have to build a whole charter company around that the fact that you don't have an engine. You need a big engine, and you need a good battery capacity for security, because you don't want your clients to end up on the rocks, right? But you're not going to use it because you're going to keep the batteries for those security cases, and maybe the last day to get back to the harbor. But it's not even, some harbors you can't even charge. So you're sailing. And I think there would be a great charter concept to develop, but you'd have to invent the thing. You'd have to invent a new charter philosophy. Because people, especially mountaineers, are close to nature, and they're I have a lot of artists like taking the ferry, even coming to Iceland without taking the plane, all that kind of stuff. People are willing to travel. They're willing to find new ways to travel polluting less. So of course there'd be a big charter business to build, but it'd be a wow. It'd be pretty not easy. But there's something to do, yeah. And I hope that's also why we're doing it, for the example, just proving people, look, it's doable, you can do it. And I hope, especially the charter industry is pretty dirty. I hope they start, thinking that way, because their clients maybe are greener than the charter companies. I think the clients are there.
But you mentioned it's safety. The safety issue of just being electric. And you mentioned it, but and in the ice, that's the main thing, isn't it? If you need to push through something, and you don't have the backup, would you be willing to have it? Yeah, you have the backup, and just keep it a secret from the client that you actually have a backup.
Exactly.
So they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they don't say, "Oh, you got to turn it on. We're gonna go." Yeah. Now, I agree
Yeah.
on that. It would be an interesting concept. But tell
You
me a
need a
little bit
racing
more
boat.
about you need. Yeah, you need a racing boat, but because most of the charter boats in the Arctic today are not that sailable. If it's light wind, they're not going anywhere. It's too heavy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah. But tell me a little bit more about the artist in residency concept. What kind of artists do you take on your trips?
Oh, we're open to all kind of artists, but well, it's just I'm looking for artists that are interested in talking about the Arctic. You know, I won't take an artist that's saying, "Oh, I'm going to do a work on myself," blah blah blah. So any kind of artist that's going to document the beauty, anything, what we're living, the Arctic. So that means, well, with the years, we're getting like a more one type of artist. It's a lot of graphic illustrator, screen printers. So that means artists that we have a lot of artists that draw, that paint. We have some photographers. We've had musicians, writers. Some more contemporary artists, but that's getting a bit smaller right now. But it's all professional artists that have like a big network. So they're going to come. Yes, they're going to burn fuel to get on the boat. But when an artist comes on the boat, he's actually, or she is bringing all her, how do you say that in English? Because they're going to talk about what they did in the Arctic to a big public. So actually, we're bringing a lot of people on board through all the art shows, all the films, all the stuff that are coming out of the residencies. That's what I like about the residencies, is that a lot of people around the world are coming on board just by buying or looking or discovering the work of the artists. You see what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, totally. And how does, if any artists are listening to this podcast, how do they go about? How do you get on board as an artist?
Well, usually,
with you?
yeah, you have to apply like most artist residencies. So artists, well, they find our Instagram or website, and on the website there's an email, and they write to me, and we give them information. So you just go on our site, which doesn't work in English because our nonprofit is called Marée Motrice. So that's a bit hard for English-speaking artists. But they apply through our website, and each year we select, usually it's 8 artists. We have 2 residencies, and each residency lasts like a good 3 weeks. So they come on board for 3 weeks. So usually I have 2 trips a year with 4 artists on each trip.
Nice, cool. What's the and you take them to Greenland, but what's your fascination about Greenland?
Everything. Well, we've did quite a few residencies in Svalbard too, but Svalbard is smaller. If you only have 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you don't really have time, especially with no engine, to go all around it, and so you're always like along the west coast going up and down. Greenland, we change. We don't go every year. That's why we're not a charter boat too. We change places. We discovered that it's so big, and big is the word. Big mountains, big icebergs, big ice, big whales, a lot of whales. Greenland is huge. it's mind blowing. It's like a cathedral. It's you know, you're like when you enter like a huge cathedral, you're like, wow, something happens. And Greenland is people too, which is not the case in Svalbard. Svalbard is just a bunch of Norwegians thinking they're so cool. Greenland is actually people that have been living there for thousands of years. It's just like, wow, what, you know, we're with all our Gartic, with all our sat phones, all our gear, all our stuff, all our, you know, the gear we have is it's crazy. And you get to Greenland, and these guys, you know, have been living there for thousands of years, just eating while, you know, living off the land. It's mind blowing too, and it's super interesting. That culture is, they have so much to teach us, especially nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Super interesting. Yeah, it's really hard for us to move away from Greenland. You know, we want to go now to Alaska, Northwest Passage, go further, but it's hard to. Greenland is like a big magnet. It's hard to get away from it.
You've been traveling up there for quite a few years now. How have you witnessed the changes, the climate changes, both on the people and the landscape?
I haven't been traveling there for enough years to see the differences on the people. But you talk to them, they will talk to you about it. Of course, the landscape, it's like in the Alps when you see the glaciers, you know, when you go every year back to the same valley and you see the glaciers a bit further up. It's like in the Alps, but it's faster. It's faster. It's super fast.
Yeah.
So that's the sadder. It's pretty sad to see the glaciers just moving back each year. Yeah, that's what you see. Now, the ice on the sea, you don't see it the same way because it's not acting the same way. You actually maybe will have more ice because the up on the North Pole, it's melting more. So the sea ice thing, it's maybe more that it's more unpredictable. There's probably more and more difference between the ice conditions from one year to another. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I'm guessing. Especially on the East Coast. Yeah, some years it's really full of ice, and some years it's super free. But I think it's when you read the old stories, it was already pretty unpredictable. Yeah.
Yep.
But definitely it's the glaciers. The glaciers, you see them.
Yep.
Sorry.
No. We're lagging a little
Go
bit
ahead.
here. But what do the locals tell you about the changes, about their changes to the culture?
The locals in Greenland have a lot of issues with their economy and with their social problems. So I think for them, the climate change is not at the same level it is like in the Nordic countries. They're not talking about it as much, I think, because they have so many other problems to solve as an old colony, right? So they have a lot of other problems to deal with. So it's quite surprising to see it's not the same. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So they're and it's also I think the Greenlandic, the Inuits is a population that has always been adapting to the climate, to the nature. For them, it's normal. They're always adapting. We Europeans are just whining, right? They're just, it's not the same mindset. They're just adapting. But they're not, but they're still taking their big outboard engines and putting fuel in them to move. You know, that's why it's not the same thing. And it's quite interesting to see that other way to deal with the climate change.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty surprising.
you mentioned slightly a few minutes ago about the fate of Knut. What did happen?
Well, it just that's maybe a month ago in September. I was planning on putting the Knut for the winter in the harbor of Nuuk. I've done that a few years ago, so leave the boat to overwinter in the harbor. What happened is that they had the harbor captain who retired or something, and they have a new harbor captain that decided he didn't like sailing boats. So I don't know why exactly. Maybe because some sailors have been not good with them in the past or something, but they decided to kick out all the sailing boats of the Nuuk harbor. So I was alone on the boat. My last artist team flew home, and I was in Nuuk, like, oh shit, trying to find a way to leave the boat there for the winter. There's also like the big buoys, and same, the harbor captain didn't want me to take a buoy. He was like, get out of here. He didn't want any sailing boat. So I ended up like in the harbor, building my own mooring with 3 anchors, and I did do a pretty tough thing with 3 anchors, a lot of chain and blah, 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 in a pretty protected place, sort of in the harbor. And I left the boat there, and because and another option was to sail it back to Iceland, but I was solo in September with no autopilot. The autopilot, all autopilots died. So sailing the boat back south for the winter was not really an option, or it was a bit sketchy. So I ended up leaving the boat on these 3 anchors, and only like 10 days. I was home for 10 days, and then I saw there was a big storm, like often in winter in Nuuk, but there was a big storm, and the boat broke free and went into the rocks. So the boat went into the harbor rocks, the big boulders. So it just stayed
Yep.
12 hours in a storm, banging against the rocks. So I flew back to Greenland, and we managed to save it, which is really lucky because there was a road. There's not a lot of roads in Greenland, so we managed to get a crane, a truck to haul it out of the water. We're really lucky. We managed to save it. But there it is. Now the boat is sitting on 2 containers, and the whole starboard side of the boat is smashed, is dead, has to be re-welded, rebuilt. So and the boat was full of water up to the ceiling. So the batteries all died, the engine died, all the electronics died, the whole inside, the rudder, the mast, and the keel seemed to be okay, but the rest has to be rebuilt. We have to start again, sort of game over thing.
Yeah. Huh.
Shit happens.
That's not nice, but yeah.
Oh.
It's an exposed place, but how are you going to manage? Because your plan was to go this Northwest Passage next year, wasn't it?
Yes. So of course we postponed all our plans for next year. So we're used to adapting to the situation with our philosophy. So we're gonna have to adapt once again, and now we're really going step by step, because when this could happen to any sailor, you could always have your chain break or an accident, kind of accident. As long as there's no human in the equation, there's no human loss. You're like, okay, human loss you cannot fix. A boat, you fix it. And now it's just going to take 1, 2, or 3 years. Of course, we don't have the finances for anything, so now it's just sitting on the containers. So we're going step by step. Right now, I'm working really hard, organizing, because our artists were like, "Oh, we're going to help you." So organizing a big art shows to sell. Artists are donating art that they made in the Arctic, and we're doing like a big exhibition in December in Switzerland, and then it's going to be another one in France. So we're building a big exhibition, and we're going to try to sell art to help finance the repairs. And then my main sponsor is a metal construction company, and this is a metal boat. So hopefully they're going to manage to give us some gear, and we're going to go up there and with friends and start fixing it next spring. It's doable because the boat is tough. So we just have to cut out the right side, redo the structure, weld the new plates. So then that's our first goal, is just to have a boat that can float and sail, so we can put it back in the water, bring it back to France or somewhere if we have to. Yeah. That's the first step. Second step is going to be the motor battery part. I'm not thinking about that yet. Our first goal is just to fix the boat and have a sailboat again.
Yeah, because you're in the worst possible, not the worst, but pretty close to the worst possible location in the world to rebuild the boat, aren't you?
Well, that's not that true.
Okay.
There's a shipyard close by. There's argon for welding the aluminum. Oh. So it could be way worse, even in Norway in some places, if you're like on a small island lost, if you don't have electricity, if you don't have, what I need is electricity, argon for the gas. And I even have a shipyard that has aluminum plates. So now the climate is not ideal. It's pretty far out, but it's not that bad actually. It's not that bad. We'll do it.
Yeah, I mean for the whole job. Not just fixing it
for the engine job.
Yeah, engine and batteries and electronics and all that kind of shit. But making it saleable.
That's why our plan is to just have a. Of course, we're not going to have any rigging gear, any So that's why our goal is really to, up in Greenland, just have a sailing boat. So fix the hull, put it back in the water, then we have a sailing boat with no engine. Now, sailing a sailing boat with no engine, I know how to do. So no problem to bring it back. Well, to bring it back anywhere back south with that setup. And then we can maybe think about batteries and stuff.
Yep. So sounds like cool expedition. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool expedition and project in itself.
Exactly, you got it. That's how. So it was really this boat. My wife, me, my kids. It's also a family boat, and we're really attached to it. So emotionally, it was super tough when it went into the rocks. But now that we saved it, like pulled it out of the rocks, and that we realized, okay, it's savable. Yeah, we're trying to turn it into an interesting project. Even the art shows we're organizing is an interesting project. Sailing it back to Europe with no engine is a super interesting project. So we're trying to change our mindsets, to adapt again, and to turn it into an interesting project. Even though in reality it's tough and it gets me anxious, at night because there's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. If we were to give some advice to people who are thinking about going electric, and what kind of advice would you give? And especially also thinking about the mindset thing.
Oh, I would say go for it. Of course, just go for it. And I want to say go. Nothing else to say. Just go. And don't only work on the technology. Don't prioritize, because I've been doing that, just thinking, batteries, more, more. No, it's just a mindset, and just sail. Go and sail. You don't need huge battery packs and huge generators, and you need the backup for security, and then you just need to sail. So you just need good sails, a good sailing boat. And that's where you have to put your money in is in your sails, not in a huge battery pack that you have to throw away. That's what happened to me. A huge, nice, fancy battery pack I had to throw away. You just need a good sailing boat.
Nice. A good sailing boat, and then sail north.
Yeah, or anywhere. I mean, I can't wait to with my boat. I can't wait to sail in the tropics, because then you just need 2 batteries and there's so much sun. It's not like changing a sailing boat into electric sailing boat is not that big of a gap, because it's a sailing boat. We're still sailing, so it's perfect. And we usually the issue is the weight, and on a boat it's not that much of a issue if you put the batteries at the right place. You don't carry fuel. The transition, we call it transition énergétique in French. The energetic transition is way easier to do on a sailing boat than on a plane, for example. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Just go do it.
No. You just have to realize that you actually have a sailing boat, and I think that's what people are missing today. They use it as a mean of transportation, not as a sailing boat.
Exactly. Yep. You got it.
Nice. Anything else? Because we're getting close to an hour here. And I'm going to put out in the text to this podcast where they can, your homepage, they can read more about Knut and see the pretty devastating pictures of the boat. It was not looked like the worst nightmare of a boat owner, but hopefully it will turn out lucky. Yeah. And and good luck with your plans. I'm sorry for the lagging. It's a little bit of silence in between here, but it's because the internet.
Yeah. we adapted ourselves. Okay, well, thank you, John, for for everything. And again, go ahead.
Yeah, come on.
I just wanted to say thanks and go.
Thanks,
go
Ben.
for it, everybody. Yeah.
Good luck with the project, and I reckon we're going to talk again when you're getting close to it or when you're back on the water. That would be really nice.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I see ya.
Hang on. Don't hang up.